that I'm live. I don't get it. Maybe now we're live. I don't know. This newfangled software.
Now we might be live. Yes.
Okay. Glad that that's back up and running. But yeah. So sorry about that, everybody. But like, oh God, where were we now that we're back on? I forgot all the stuff we were talking about. Just so sad. It's so sad to see this happen. And for, yeah, like you were saying, for no reason. But, okay, there is a concept out there that perhaps the idea of being a victim can be used as currency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what we've got here above all else is like, you know, if you're a perpetual liar and you're always playing the victim of things anyway, like I can't think of a better grift because it'll come out a little bit later, but she was claiming to friends that her husband Keith here was abusive toward her. She'd get injuries naturally. And then when friends would notice, she'd blame it on Keith and say it was an abusive relationship and all this stuff. So I kind of get the kernel of the idea behind, hey, if I'm kidnapped and it doesn't go nationwide, it just stays local and I don't get caught, that's a victim card you can cash for the rest of your life and sort of ease up on all of the other lies maybe. Because you can always whip out that checkbook to be like, hey, remember when I was kidnapped?
Right.
And it'll always like generate stories or interest or whatever. So, and you can always be like, yeah, it was so hard. It was so tough being kidnapped for so long. And like, you know,
a sympathy seeker.
Yes. And it's a form of control via being, it's so gross. The way we try to control each other is either overtly, like by using force of will or manipulation by physical or mental means, or playing the victim and getting people to cater to you in such a way that essentially puts you in the power, despite the fact always having your hands up in a shielding position, like you're, you know, hiding from the bomb in T2 for Christ's sake.
Well, it's like she wanted to try and do two things where, yes, she plays the victim, but also the like forgiver, because she doesn't want, you know, she's like, oh, but you know, she's so thankful for that young Hispanic girl that let her go, but like, it's kind of like, oh man,
but that's just a natural consequence because she couldn't stay and live with James Reyes for the rest of her life. So that was just like, that wasn't even like a necessity lie. That was just like a lie that arose mutually with the situation, because she's going to have to say like, yeah, the younger one let me go, or the older, somebody had to let her go because she got out, you know?
She could have said she escaped by using a screw.
But then, like, no, like, that's the thing. Like, there's enough truths here with the lies. And so the truth was, yeah, she got let go. The lie was it just happened to be by James Reyes instead of by a Hispanic woman who abducted her.
Yeah.
It's not an abduction. Asked me to come get her.
No.
I rented a car.
He's crossing his arms.
Yeah, okay. So keep an eye on Keith because things are going to mount and he's going to blow his top. After a fashion. But watch what Sherri does in defense of herself, because the strategies are simplistic, infantile, and super annoying.
That's the polygraph test, Sherri.
If that's not what happened, what did happen, Sherri?
I don't know.
Remember, it's a lie. It's a crime to lie to a federal agent, Sherri. Wink.
The DNA doesn't lie.
His DNA
was on you.
There's no way.
Robert saw you in the house while you were down there. Wow.
So this is first strategy. There's no way. It happened. I was still kidnapped, but somehow James Reyes is the mastermind, the puppet master, if you will, behind this. So I see where Sherri's trying to turn it into a pivot here, but I'm going to have to call it for a double dribble. Can't use two different stories.
How everything his cousin. Why everything ran out of control on the initial.
Woof.
There's no way.
It's 100% Robert's. Or
There's no
James's
way you
DNA.
figured out my lie.
It's
You've been
100%
collecting
way.
blunders from the room.
Wait.
There's no way it's James. There's no way.
Tell me that it is.
Why are you saying it's not James? Why are you saying it's not?
Hmm?
He found me.
What's that?
We were friends.
Mhm.
There's no way.
And he came and got you because you asked him.
No.
When was the last time you had contact with James?
This is 2020.
Mm.
So how have you not talked to your abductor since 2017, right? I mean, seems crazy.
Bring in the
17.
Mandalorian. This is the way.
This is the way.
It's spinning again. Whenever
right.
you hit that space bar,
I don't remember.
it messes up the stream.
To stop the video?
Okay, it might be going again.
It's
Okay.
All right.
Or after the abduction? Before.
When was the last time you saw James?
I don't know.
ago when I lived in Southern California.
So the last person-to-person contact you had with him was back in 2006?
Like,
When you were
Jesus,
living in Southern
man.
California?
I don't know.
So
Was it prior to your marriage?
It's him. There is no way it's him.
Now, notice that the answer to this was prior to your marriage would not be, there's no way, it's him.
Right.
It drives me crazy in real life and watching these things too. Like, no matter what the stakes, people always do this. When they don't want to answer a question, they'll just throw a bunch of verbal bullshit at me and expect me to forget that I asked something. And that's what happens here too. Every time a detective asks something, it's just like, well, blah, blah, blah. The answer should be very cut and dry, but it's always like, well, I don't feel like I should. Well, shut up. Like, ask or rather answer the question as.
And gave us details that nobody else would know.
and we can call him and we can all talk about
I don't know why this thing keeps dying.
That's okay now.
it. Ultimately, can you look at me for a second? Ultimately,
Can you
we
look
put
at me
him on a
for a second?
polygraph like we did Keith.
She won't do it.
Keith was inconclusive, to be honest with you, on whether he was involved or not. But 100% James was telling the truth. The questions were, did Sherri ask you to come pick her up? He answered yes. That was the truth on a polygraph. We asked him if the two of you ever had sex. The answer was no.
During 2016.
During 2016, during the abduction, he said no. That was the truth. We asked him if you asked him to brand you. The answer was yes, and he passed the polygraph on all of those questions
Okay, so just
about the chain.
real quick with the polygraph here too, because he brings up the fact that James Ray is like, they gave him the polygraph and he passed, like he's telling the truth, yada yada yada, and he brings up the fact that Keith was inconclusive when they tested him if he was involved with the disappearance or whatever. I mean, not for nothing, I just like to call attention to that because like polygraphy or whatever, like the lie detector aspect of any machine they could hook you up to it is like fucking pseudoscience. And here's like a great example. He had nothing to do with it. He just got blindsided with a diesel train with 20 tons of shit. And the lie detector test said inconclusive.
Mm.
And just like, where are we? And that's the thing. She's gonna bring it up, and they're gonna be like, "No, I wasn't." You'll see.
We talked to the friend. The car that he rented drove over 900 miles in a day from the drop-off point.
900 miles for that guy for the round trip to pick up Sherri.
Ugh.
All
But
of
it's not
the-
like we don't know the answers to these questions.
And the fear of Keith's reaction. Obviously, now he's in the room.
Yeah, obviously.
The fear of
Yeah.
media, the fear of all of these things are coming forward. They're in front of you now.
Oh,
the only way to get a hold of it, the only way for everybody to come together and heal, the whole community has to heal, is for us to be able to say, when we presented all of the evidence, all of the stuff that came forward, you told us the truth. You told us what happened. Because you did go in a dark room, that's true. You did lay in the back seat of the car, that's true. You did lose weight, you were branded, your hair was cut, you did have...
Okay, so another crazy thing about this story that I, with all the other details sort of got lost. Part of her story was after she was abducted, right, and thrown into the back of this SUV by these two people waving guns around, a high-stress situation. Her story is she fell asleep on the way to the abduction house. Like, if there's one time you're going to be wide awake, it's when you're being held at gunpoint in a stranger's vehicle being driven off to parts unknown. But you know what? Not Sherri. She's like, you know what? I'm going to pop over a little snoozy. She found a nice comfy blanket in the back seat.
I mean, she was going on a run. She was tired, obviously.
It's little shit like that. I mean, it's not that you don't need to have like a huge amount of disbelief for this, but it just, I mean, little details like that. Like, Sherri, you fell asleep? Don't say shit like that. You're being abducted. Like, pretend like
your adrenaline is high.
Say you had a bag
You're
over
not
your
gonna
head.
fall asleep.
But that's part of it too, is like, since she's never had necessarily a real experience in her life, going through life lying and manipulating people, maybe she doesn't know how a normal person would react. Like, I'm sure she was just like, oh, well, c'est la vie, and plonk. But the rest of us would be like, ah!
I like how they keep looking over at
bruises
Keith
got.
every time they bring something up to see how he's going to react.
Oh, I know, right? Isn't it sad to and that was the whole thing, like, that I was talking about before with the whole, like, is Keith, should he be here? Should he not? Yada, yada. And, like, there he is just having to take it like a beaten dog. The poor guy.
There, and James did something. The reason why your nose got broke is because you held the hockey stick to your face and he forced it into your nose.
I can't imagine having to go through that shit.
The reason why the brand is in a straight line is because he did it.
The
He
brand.
described exactly where it was. He told us exactly how he did it, where he did it, how he did it. Only you and I and maybe 5 other people know where the brand was.
Ugh.
He told me immediately. Robert told friends and family you were there. His mom knew that you were there because of course it went news and everybody knew you guys dated. Everybody knew you guys had a relationship. So
And, like, of course, right? If someone that your son or someone in your family used to date and you obviously knew well because they dated for years, like, the first thing you would do is reach out and be like, what the heck? Can you believe this shit? And he didn't lie. He's like, oh, she's with me. Like,
She's at my
his
house.
mom knew, but like his cousins knew. Everybody knew Sherri was hanging out with this poor dude for literally no reason.
what actions doesn't make sense?
Wouldn't they all then technically be like accomplices? Or like, not accomplices, but like...
Well, hold on. We're missing a good part here because let me play that again.
What are you thinking, Sherri?
That doesn't make any sense.
Why doesn't it make sense?
What actions doesn't make sense?
A lot of it doesn't make sense.
Can we talk about those?
No.
Do you want to talk about those? No. Like, your world is falling apart. They're like, hey, what doesn't make sense? A lot of it. Do you want to talk about all the stuff that doesn't so we can maybe clear the air? No. Okay.
Yep, I'm good.
James' DNA was confirmed on your clothing. The 2 of you haven't seen each other in over a decade. You told me that you haven't been in his room, you haven't had contact with him in over 10 years. However,
You described his bedroom to a T.
Whoops.
And the DNA on you was still a vibrant piece of DNA. 10-year-old DNA dies. The DNA that was there specifically was non-seminal fluid, was seminal fractions. You got that from his house somewhere. So whether it was the bed that you were sleeping on, whether it was the couch, whether it was anywhere in there, when somebody would come to the door and be around the property, you'd call James, James would call Robert, because those 2 doors down, Robert would run people off the property.
Isn't that insane? She would, like, and there's so many people were involved. There's a multiple chain of command here for Sherri to get people to fuck off that are looking for her.
That's nuts.
So I want to know what she was telling everybody else, why they had to do all this.
That's the thing. There's so much of this case that is still unknown to me. I haven't looked at all the pictures they released because all of this went wide once the sentence was set in stone, so to speak. So yeah, like James' motivation still murky. Everything about this case, even though it is essentially victimless aside from like the taxpayer dollar.
And Keith,
poor Keith. But yeah, it's like that's where we're at. It's like, what the hell is all of this for? So the thing, it's just for so she could cash that perpetual victim card. But like again, who thought that like as she was getting whisked away by James in the back of the Dodge Charger that he rented and drove for 900 miles that day, I'm sure her first thought wasn't like, oh man, they're going to find one of his hairs in my underwear and my life is going to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Told me all of that. James told me everything.
Oh, plus he sang like a bird. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you?
Certain facts. There are certain facts that are true.
The thing is, like, well, yeah, wouldn't you? But this is 4 years after, and he only sang because they found his DNA on her clothes. So it's not like he's a nice guy, but this is fucked.
Put it all together until he says, "Hey, how did you pick her up?" I opened up the passenger side seat. I opened the door. You jumped in the back seat. Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? I don't know. It was weird.
It was weird. I abducted her. She asked me to, and it was weird.
So are you calling James a liar? Are we not believing James what he told me?
No.
Look at Keith. He's like counting the ceiling
I cannot
tiles.
believe that it is James.
I can't believe James told us the truth.
Oof.
That's what I
burn.
Oh, look at that. She's gonna look at Keith. Are you kidding me with this? Back to the hands.
Polygraph, Sherri.
So did Keith.
Can you believe that? Like the one moment she was like, all right, this is where I take a stand. And she looks to Keith like, can you believe? And I'm sure you can't see his face, but I swear to God, he looks like the crypt keeper. He must have shut her down. From
He
coast
probably
to
didn't even
coast.
look at her.
No, their eyes met, and she felt a little bit of herself die right there, I'm sure. Jesus Christ.
This reminds me of Amos and Roxy Hart from Chicago.
I'm not familiar with that, so I'm gonna have to look into it, or at least not by name.
And he was involved.
So James is involved. But I don't.
So
James picked
what,
you up.
right?
You called James to pick you
Call
up.
Tony, so
You gave
Kayla
him a
knows.
letter with your address. You used a burner phone to call another
No.
burner phone for James to come and get you.
You're saying since you're married, you haven't called James?
No, I have called James.
Because
Remember earlier when she said she hadn't made contact with James since her brother died, which I was wrong. I said 2017. It was actually 2006. Here, an about face, completely. Whoops.
My bad.
contacted James. Because phone records show that you do. You
You
did.
just gotta look at Keith. Look at that
The
shit.
phones don't lie, the DNA doesn't lie, Sherri.
And my hips don't lie.
Polygraph doesn't
either.
lie.
So you can go a couple different directions now.
His
I've
story.
already told you lying to me is a crime.
Okay, they do that a lot. Like once it starts to heat up, these guys will talk over each other like fucking crazy, which leads me to believe that this is like probably the first time they work together. Completely unlike the Brent Christensen duo.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably never met each other before. Went like a duck to water. These guys, they probably even spent time together, and they just won't shut the like. It's like they're married.
So you
One
walk
over
out,
the other.
and that's a crime.
I think we need my lawyer. This isn't making any sense.
That's not
Isn't
making
making
sense, Sherri. The parts that
That
don't make
it's
sense.
James.
No, the parts that don't make sense are that you're accusing two females who abducted you when it was James.
Yeah.
The part that you were branded, James did it. He told me he did it.
No.
Who would sit there and
No.
say,
No.
I branded Sherri on her right shoulder blade? Who does that?
I'm told
Oh,
now and
he's
show this
back
letter.
now.
Yeah, he is.
Say what?
He is floating out of frame. And can you blame him? Like every time there's a big reveal, he is like, nope. And he's like,
Gotta
you know,
go.
now he's like just barely the gelled spikes of his hair.
Yep.
This poor guy.
To match the brand.
Door and pointing out the letters.
Doesn't make any sense. I can't believe you
The
figured out my
problem is
plan.
today's the case is resolved. Everything, the only things, well, how do we prove that you're telling us the truth? How do we prove that the truth is that 2 women took you, but I'm telling you as a male?
I don't know.
The fact that you were branded is true. The small fact is that you willingly laid down and did it versus being tied to a table.
Oh, whoops.
So we could do the polygraph and try to, whatever parts you're confused about.
Can you go? Is that what you said?
Can I talk to you outside real quick? You up there late?
Watch what Sherri, watch her eyes.
The fears of how out of control everything got, the fear of all these things is the reality.
Zoop. As soon as he's out of the room, she goes into like this sitting chimp position. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even make a guess as to what she is feeling right now. What do you think? Like, once he leaves, do you think she is feeling like relief, regret, remorse, anything? Like, how would you feel in this situation? Because I'm trying to put myself there, and I can't.
I have no idea how I'd feel besides, like, I'm fucked. I was found out, but
Right. But like now
I
that
don't
he's
know. If you're a narcissist, it's probably like, meh, all right.
But like, look at it. She watched him like a shark hunting a tuna. And as soon as he's out of the room, look how much she has shrunk up. She has pulled her legs and arms in. She is making herself a smaller and smaller target. So Keith must have been her only tie to like normalcy or something. Cause like,
It might also be like, well, so what, like when I was growing up and stuff, my dad's like a narcissist and all that, but like when somebody says that they're disappointed in you or like looks at you like they're disappointed, that's for me at least, it was one of like the most like,
well, yeah, I get
makes
that,
you
but
feel
like
really small.
you're saying as a normal human being, this is
Right.
not a normal human being. So I'm wondering what goes through somebody's head like that, and that's the whole crux of true crime. Is like you'll never know, and probably the honest answer is probably nothing. She's probably sitting there going like, "Okay, walking, he's walking, and now I hear a door close." Anyway, back to me. What can I get out of this shit? So, but whether you're thinking of something or not, I'm sure some emotion rose up in her, and I would give my eye teeth to know what it was, if she was afraid or if she felt relieved, because I think it was definitely one of those two. She's like, shit's getting serious, or now that he's gone, I can finally, less of an audience makes people less nervous.
yeah, maybe sometimes.
But who knows?
Yeah.
We'll never know. That's the whole point of it, I guess.
Kale says she watched him like a shark hunting a tuna. Sorry, Charlie.
Slow the train.
The train.
You put yourself through this so when you came forward, you can tell certain stories. You missed you couldn't control the DNA that we found. You couldn't control when we talked to James, he'd tell us what happened.
And his entire family and their neighbors.
The story always was hard for anybody to understand.
I just want to snap her head back.
Right?
Oh, that drives me absolutely bananas.
That's a pet peeve of mine too. In interrogation footage, there's always the person who hangs their head. Like everybody probably knows the Chandler Halderson case, but he does that shit too. In the interview right before they drop the bomb on him, that they know that he killed his parents, every question, his eyes are planted on the ground, and it just makes you want to like get a croquet mallet and like hit him in the forehead to get them back up on the upside of things.
Joe says you have to think as well. Keith was the only person in that room she held power over, and it's clear that she's lost that. And I'd imagine it's a panic response to not being in control.
Oh yeah, okay, but
true.
that's the thing. The
Yeah.
person, her narrative was being hurt by these detectives saying these things. So, it's good. Again, it's impossible to say, but good speculation.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, continuing and saying that 2 girls took you is a lie to Peter. It's just a lie. Because we were able to prove it with evidence. With a rental car agreement, person driving 1,000 miles in a day, the DNA on you, and him passing a polygraph, it's 3 legs to a table.
We're back.
Oh no, he doesn't come back.
Keith's gonna wait out there.
Yeah, Keith's gonna wait out there.
It's just okay.
Now's your opportunity.
That's part of the bingo. If you're looking to fill that slot in your bingo card, if you hear the word "now is your opportunity" or time or opportunity, they're interchangeable. Now is the time. Now is your opportunity. They love offering criminals opportunities to, convict themselves with the truth.
Yep.
Now's the time. Now's the exact time. It is your opportunity. We wanted to, or they'll sometimes phrase it like that. They'll say, "Now's your opportunity," or they'll act as if they're doing you a favor, like, "Hey, we wanted to give you this opportunity to give your side of this murder or whatever it is."
There are things he says that we can corroborate, and whatever you say, we're going to try and corroborate. But right now, I'm not sure what you're saying. You're just saying you can't believe it's him.
Oh.
And you're saying you don't understand. But there are details he provided. We know you were in his house. We collected hairs from that bedroom. That's going to have DNA on it. We already have your hairs that you left with your cell phone when you were picked up.
Kayla has a good point.
What's that?
Bearing in mind with all that is going on and all she's losing control over, this all started with them telling her that this was a voluntary Q&A and she could step out at any time.
I told you, like, anytime, that's the thing. People are, it's the fight or flight or freeze. And it'll all happen multiple times over the course of anything. But this is a fight response. You want to put up a fight for your freedom or whatever. Like, she thinks that her lying skills are enough to get her out of this because, again, who has held her responsible for anything up until now? Like, nobody. She's gotten away with everything because all of her lies have been pretty low stakes. But again, CNN and everything like that, like, people had sticks and they were poking grass fields looking for her body. Like, people howl. Like, as funny as I think it is personally, justice, quote unquote, needs to be met.
Yeah, Tony says it's an illusion of choice. You can tell us so we can tell you.
Yeah, but yeah. And they'll offer you like the diminished capacity question or whatever. But yeah, the illusion of choice is a great one. You say, "Oh, I get to choose how I get to incriminate myself." No, you say, "Lawyer, please."
Mm-hmm.
And there's not 2 women who live there.
Just a dude with a weird bathroom.
James lives there.
You know James lives there.
As you just said, yeah, James lives there. We know.
So you might as well get it out of your head that James is not involved, because James is clearly involved. And James already told us he's the one that did the brand.
Yeah.
That's something that he admitted to mayhem. He admitted to a felony you could put him in prison over.
So it doesn't jive.
Seriously.
Now, it's your opportunity to say, were there issues between you and Keith? Is that why you needed to leave? I mean, we read your text message. We're already aware of some issues, but enlighten us if that's the case.
The lies.
There was a
about the
valid
abuse.
reason for you to leave. Let me know what that was.
James said you had your jaw broken by him, and that's why he came and got you, because you were in an abusive relationship. So, were you in an abusive relationship with him?
It's got a weird way of showing it, right?
Yeah.
Have you told other people in your life that, like China, that Keith has abused you in the past when that wasn't true? China told me that day 2, where there was an incident at a party that you got hurt playing, like, I don't know, weed.
Okay, so yeah, typing square. Yeah. Didn't she ask for a lawyer? Yes, but no, also. Because she said, "I think we should wait for a lawyer." She said something that must be a loophole, because in every other interrogation I've seen, it either stops immediately or it stops immediately so they can clarify whether they want a lawyer right now. Because there are some people who will waive the lawyer card and the detectives will stop and go like, okay, let's be clear. Do you want a lawyer, one of those free lawyers for your case, or do you want a lawyer right now during questioning? And they'll go, oh, I want a lawyer for my case. And they'll go, okay. So just to reiterate, you're ready to keep giving us the truth so we can put you in jail. Yes.
But they didn't ask that here either.
No, and so I don't know why that, maybe because of the way she, and that's the thing too, you can see it's 2020 and she is now going to jail in 2022. So I don't know what legal hurdles they had to jump through, but it's just another weird thing that happened.
Yeah, there was probably some like
And then you told other
things
friends that
going
you
on.
But I mean, come on.
when there was witnesses at the party that said that you got hurt during a party. But then you go tell James that you were being hurt, you were being abused, and you couldn't come forward because Keith has friends in law enforcement. If all of that's, is that true?
Huh? It's awfully quiet over there, Sherri.
Abusive towards you.
We are not talking about my husband. I love my husband.
So why leave? Is
Yeah.
James lying to us?
That pathetic attempt at power.
I don't want to leave my husband. I want to be with my children. I would never leave my children.
But
You did leave them permanently. You came back.
Listen to her voice and
But
how.
she did.
Yeah, she did, but and that's the thing. He's saying, yeah, essentially, yeah, she did, but she knew she was coming back. Like, that's the thing. She is still playing this off as if it's like a real thing. And like, in her, like, to me anyway, when she's saying, I would never leave my children, that for that to be in any way relevant, she would have had to have planned her own kidnapping and like not known if she was going to come back or not, but she knew she was always coming back.
Right. There was no danger.
Yeah, there was never danger of you leaving your children. So yeah, that's moot. But in this scenario, it would have to be both true and not true for that to make any sense.
Yeah.
We're back in Schrodinger's box there with Keith again.
it's not like
That poor bastard.
James talked about that decision when you were driving down, how hard that was. You left at 10 o'clock knowing that Keith was going to get home late, knowing you were going to leave the kids at daycare, and how much that tore you up on the drive down.
How embarrassing.
You told us that.
Like for the kids. Like your mom,
Things
Sherri
got out of
Papini.
control.
James and I talked about that. We did talk about that before. When I went out of town for work.
What happened?
Always talking to other guys. God, why did I do that?
Okay. So
When you're in Eureka, you give him a call.
this is the toilet spiral we're going to be in for the next chunk of this is like,
Told him some of your problems.
I shouldn't have talked to other guys. She's now like going to admit that her greatest crime is talking to other men. And as far as I know, or at least the only one that's relevant is one dude, James. So I don't know why she's saying I was talking to other men or why that's even germane. But you know what?
We're trying to
Gaslighting.
understand why you did that too.
We're trying to understand all of it.
I don't know how this is happening because I was doing that.
What?
This is an awful choice. Talking to other guys that
Oh,
has
yeah.
got me here.
I hate her.
Yeah.
So what aspect are you saying? Like, how does talking to other people got you here? We've got it.
Exactly.
My husband, and I make mistakes and I talk to other men that I shouldn't have.
But we took it a step farther this
A
time.
little bit.
This is a little different than just chatting with them. I appreciate you talking and being forthright about the other guy.
Yeah, some dude sending you a dick pic is way different than disappearing for 22 days and having a nationwide manhunt for you, Sherri. Sorry that I had to explain that to you. I thought it was common sense.
As you were talking to, when did it turn into something more? Obviously, you never would have imagined that CNN in 2020 and Good Morning America would care about you wanting to leave Keith or wanting to teach him a lesson
No.
or wanting to get him in line.
No, I was just talking to James and I don't want to leave my husband.
Right.
Sorry, what?
I didn't understand a word she said.
Yeah, I know. Most of it is unintelligible. Like, she's just... And that's the reason... this is a pathetic showing when you're a narcissist who is like basically allowed to develop with no skill, which is what Sherri is. Like a world-class liar probably could get out of situations, maybe not similar to this because there's like forensic evidence and DNA or whatever. But if you're a good liar, it's like any other skill. You can develop it. But if you're like Sherri and everybody around you is just a dullard who's allowing you to lie and because they either have no backbone or they can't tell or whatever reason, you're not good at lying. You just do it a lot. Like there's no one pushing you to that next level. Like Keith, we've obviously seen that he is lock, stock, and two smoking barrels down with this up until like even after the point when they were like, we have DNA and it's from a dude. He was still like, yay, progress. And, you know, so what do we do? Ugh.
Sure. How on your cell phone or another cell phone?
My work cell phone, my work cell phone. I don't want to leave my husband. I don't want to leave my husband.
This is more like just a flirt.
Well, here's the thing. You're going to go
What's
to
your
jail
work
where you
cell phone?
won't have your husband, so.
What's that?
I don't remember.
It was 4 years ago.
How long were you guys talking?
I don't know.
Why would he rent a car and come and get you?
Huh.
I don't know.
Well, if you don't know that, why would you get in the car and go down to Costa Mesa?
Good question.
Those are all things we can verify, Sherri. The car rental, the fuel, the mileage, the calls from you to him,
The cost
burner
of gas.
all that can be proven.
It's horrible.
I get like, you know, when a cop has evidence, that's like a kid with candy, right? So you want to show it off, you want to impress everybody with it. But like if it doesn't, like that's obviously major shit, like stuff that you can verify, like DNA, contracts, these are things that exist. And if like those things should have hit like a mallet to the normal person anyway. When a normal person would be hit with that kind of evidence, you'd go, oh God, why? And you go, oh, whatever. But the fact that these blows glanced off her as if she's just like a granite boulder seems to leave these men undeterred, and it's confusing. And that's why I don't like their dynamic. They constantly talk over each other, and they're constantly reiterating shit that the other one already said. So it's like confused cop and also confused cop, but also mildly irritable cop. And the whole time, Sherri's just going, no.
I shouldn't have talked to other guys.
Yeah, I get, you know, they're trying to hammer her and not let her sit in silence for a moment because it's a valid technique, but it's just frustrating to watch, especially when it's done so ineptly, in my opinion.
Well, but at this point, what's the
Sherri, I
point?
think things went a little sideways.
They want a confession. A confession is still the gold standard.
What this was going to turn into. I didn't know that I'd have people stand on boxes.
And technically at this point, it could be, you know, there could be a case made that, yeah, it was his machinations. If she's going to be like, no, I don't know, whatever, like in a prosecutor's mind, they're thinking to the jury, and this mythical jury that's always been depicted in popular culture and, you know, the minds and hearts of every man in America, it's like they're incredibly hard to sway over.
Right.
It's damn juries. They want so much evidence.
20.
My husband, I want my children
Oh,
stupid for talking to other guys.
But why did James come and get you? I know you guys were talking. I know you said in the past that Keith has hurt you to other friends. Why tell him those details if that stuff's not true? It's one thing to talk. It's one thing to talk. It's another thing to say abuse is occurring.
and to drive 900 miles.
Everybody I
talked
talked to about James said he's the nicest person in the whole world. Yeah, he may be a hockey player, but he is the nicest person in the world.
Yeah, and this
He's
poor
nice to a
dope.
fault. I know lots of people. I don't know anybody I'd rent a car for and drive 9 hours for. Keith, James did that for you.
It's funny how they keep
He
Never
never
helping you.
saying the
He
wrong
never asked you
name
why.
throughout this whole
He
interrogation.
never
Well, I mean,
questioned anything.
They don't
He
know
never
what
There's
asked.
more money on the line.
He never asked for anything.
Nothing.
He didn't ask for sexual relations. He didn't ask for a relationship after you. He didn't ask for anything.
He took care of her
never even
ass for
talked to
2
you since.
weeks.
And yet he stayed quiet until now.
4 weeks, actually.
And the only reason why he talked is because we have his DNA. That's the only reason why we got to his door. That's the only thing that led us to his closet. That's the only thing that led us to the bathroom.
Because you gave the police your underwear.
And that's the only reason why he started talking to us. Once he showed us the bedroom, and we started pointing out the holes in the wall, like, you used to have this board up, huh? And he said, yeah.
Sherri asked me to put boards up.
It's so crazy.
There's nobody's ever going to be able.
Wouldn't her Kleenex be like covered in like soaked by now?
Oh, yeah,
if she
if
was
it-
actually crying.
Yeah, if it were real, but you may have noticed it earlier. Like it was on the ground for the longest
Yeah.
time, and she finally picked it up. Yeah, that thing is as dry as a tumbleweed. She is not. I mean, and spoiler alert: this is all a ruse because these type of people can put on an act like this. You know, obviously no waterworks, but as soon as it's over, it's just like, well, anyway, let's get back at it, team.
Yeah. Can I walk
Those
out that door
extra
still?
The worst.
Hey,
Except for James. Did.
you don't understand what? What parts are you not
Sherri.
understanding?
He even showed us, Sherri.
Sherri,
He
please
even
look at
showed
me,
us
Sherri.
the letters that we should have read. And I'm-
Sherri, the letters. Can you look, please? God, look at the goddamn
I'll
letters.
picture them right here. This is
What
the
is
set
that?
that was used.
What did the Bible verse mean to you?
How would he have known that?
They just keep talking over each other.
Why did you pick that Bible verse? James picked the Bible verse?
Like who
cares?
What?
Right? Why does that make a difference?
Sniffle.
Got some snot going.
We need to be able to control the outcome and what's going to happen next. The
But
only
what?
thing we know is going to happen right now is what you can tell us and what you can shed light on, and for other people to be able to try to understand. If it was a mistake, it was a mistake.
Okay.
But this,
So this is a clumsy attempt at this. So like I've seen this oftentimes with murder or whatever, like when a crime gets out of hand and somebody gets hurt, they go, was it a mistake? This is something where like you can't, like it's laughable that he's trying to do this. Like, was it a mistake? Like, did you accidentally send letters, buy burner phones, plan an abduction, execute the abduction, come back and go on a whirlwind media tour? Was that just all a big goof 'em up, Sherri? Like a big whoopsie daisy for fucking years now?
Tony says ties her culpability.
Yeah.
point
All right, let's keep going.
is what happened.
I want to get the part where she tells him, don't talk to me like that.
It's a mistake on
I hope
top
we
of a
didn't talk
mistake.
over it.
You know
Right
what's
now, we
missing?
can
A
start
tiny
over.
cup.
Okay, speaking of that, I watched, I don't know who the guy was, but it was like a hot and fresh interrogation. And the detective pulls the classic detective move, but like to the extreme, so it was a joke. Like the interrogatee, the subject, if you will, was sitting there and he's like, hey man, can I get some water? And it was two detectives, one disappears and comes back with literally the smallest cup I've ever seen. I don't know where he got it, but it was fucking hilarious. It must have held 1/4 of an ounce. And he like reaches out to hand it to the kid. The kid's like, what? And he's like, oh, I'm just kidding, here. And he hands him a big old jug of the shit. But like, the fact that he came in, because he comes off camera and he goes, whoop, and it's like, he's like, no, man, I'm just trying to make you laugh, trying to get you loosen up. And meanwhile, this kid fucking tried to shoot someone.
Hmm.
I'm trying to loosen you up, kid.
Here's a medicine cup.
Relax.
Leave without
Come on, video, wake up.
leave without a dirty conscience, without the what's going to happen next. Right now,
Deep
there's
down
too many
inside,
that
Sherri,
happens
I
next.
know you know what's right and what you should do. And you should come clean.
I mean, come on, Sherri. Really?
Why did you ask James to come get you?
I admire their dedication because they had to keep going as long as she hasn't said she wants a lawyer. But Jesus,
Just to meet up with you.
Even though she kind of said she wanted a
Everything
lawyer.
happened at once.
yeah.
You were asking
That's
two.
a stupid thing to do.
You
The
asked
thing about
two.
it is we were able to prove that Donovan never came up here. But now we can prove that James did. We have records to prove it. Although you might not think it was a good idea now, 2020 hindsight. At the time,
Literally 2020.
why did you ask him to come pick you up? Was that an I don't know?
Okay, so real quick, I realized that like this is getting super long and I don't want to take you for your entire night. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I recommend watching this whole thing. Watch it uncut. There's a million of them out there. We're watching Susan Bond's cut of it right now. There's a million of them out there. Watch one of them because the rest of this plays out hilariously. She gets up in the detective's face for talking to her in such a way. But Keith eventually makes an appearance, and I feel like we would be remiss if we left and we skipped that. So I want to do his. Oh God, what is it? His. Because he comes back and it's a sad time for him because he's like, so now what the fuck is up? Let's scrub it and see if we can get it. Oh God, poor Keith. Yeah, so she does ask for a lawyer. She goes, I think I want my lawyer. And they go, okay, Sherri, if you want to talk to us again, we'll be happy to do it. But if you're going to leave, you're going to leave. So here we go.
Sherri Wars, episode 6, Return of the Keith.
Yeah, so hey, he's here. You know where Keith is? She came out. Where's Keith? He fucking bolted. He went as far away as possible.
Are you
Yeah.
still here?
Keith, what are we gonna...
You're in the parking garage?
So when he comes back in, it just adds a little credulity to him not knowing what has been going on, despite the fact the polygraph being inconclusive.
Mm.
And then I feel for, like, when we get to it, you'll feel for him too. Like, they have to treat him like everybody else in the general public, despite the fact he's so intimate with the crime, so they can't share shit with him. Ugh. This poor guy.
Is she in custody?
No.
Okay.
Alright. I'm the idiot husband that stayed around the whole time.
Well, there's not.
Oh.
It's still, we can't tell you a lot, honestly. I don't know what, I told Phil to let you know some of the details, some of the stuff going out.
Can we, I mean, from my side, I feel like, my whole world's gonna flip upside down again. Why is that? Why am I always getting held out of things? Like, why can't you just hit me with it?
I did, I told you.
I know, yeah.
Because this happened Monday.
No, you're saying you can't tell me all this stuff.
It's still an ongoing investigation, so you're not gonna find out answers. I mean, there's just, that's the
Like, how frustrating would that be to sit through what you just sat through, right? And to have them ask all these questions and give all of these facts. And then they can all but say, yes, James Reyes and her work together in concert to do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when and they'll basically ask it, in a question form. And I feel like maybe Keith is also just a little dim here because, like, put two and two together, my man. Like, do you
Right.
see what we're doing here? The DNA, huh?
way it is.
I mean, didn't throw me a bone and then go, I mean, she made it up. Is that where we're going, right? Or is she trying to come up with a whole nother?
We're not gonna give you any additional details. Obviously, you've heard the questions, so you can
Yeah.
read through some of those
Obviously.
and understand. You've seen some of the photos,
Yeah.
so you know some of the
Well,
investigative work
obviously you
we've
saw me. I was
done.
like, yeah, we found him.
And we did.
Yeah.
But you can also notice
Yeah,
your
we did.
reaction compared to her reaction.
Yeah. No, 100%. That's what I'm saying from my side. But now you're telling me, okay, you guys can go home now. Well, do you think I want her anywhere around my kids or around me at all at this point?
And again, we've talked a lot. I don't know what the next stages of this are. That's why.
It's not
that's
us
why
together, I tell you that one.
Whatever those decisions are, I don't know.
But from we can all agree.
We can
that
all
she's
agree.
Not over there, then obviously if somebody can do something like that to their
Oh.
body and try to trick everybody that they're probably not fit to.
It was 4 years ago.
And so when he says that, it always sticks in my craw. Like, because Keith is making a strong point. Yes, she is got aberrant behavior to the point that she caused a huge scene on a scale not unlike like baby Jessica caught in a well.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, well, you know, it was 4 years ago. So what are you saying here, bitch? Like, you're here to prosecute her for a crime.
Why are we here?
And then you're going to tell Keith here, like, well, you know, it was 4 years ago. People change. If that's true, then why are you still chasing her?
Right.
Like, am I supposed to feel good about this, or should I feel like a normal human being here, detective?
Don't be like, go home, have a good night's sleep next to your wife.
Yeah, because then they can't tell him, you know, legal advice. They cannot do any of that. But he'll bring up some stuff that is legitimate.
That, but I would say, obviously, we are concerned about the welfare. We don't want any kind of domestic dispute between you two. We also don't want.
So give me a quick not legal advice. Give me from a sheriff. If I don't want her in my house tonight, what options do I have?
You'd have to get restraining orders. You'd have to get legal stuff.
It's 5:20 p.m. So
I'm gonna tell her she has to go to her sister's or something. I mean, she's not going to my house tonight, and I got a call. The next stage of this, please give me the courtesy of telling me when
This
you're
hurts,
gonna
watch.
announce it, so I cannot be at my home. and
Probably
make sure-
tonight.
Oh God, damn it!
All he wanted was like a little leeway so the media wouldn't swarm his nuts like ants to honey.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, they're probably going to bring it tonight. Just like, what a day for Keith, right? Like when he got, because he had no idea that the FBI and the sheriff's office were going to call. I doubt Sherri knew, but he's going to call 4 years later out of the blue, be like, hey, we got some stuff. Can you come look at it? So I'm sure like they probably had a full day ahead. Like, you know, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They've had lunch together. Maybe it was a nice day. And now it's like, oh, P.S., your wife is now a world-renowned liar and your world is falling apart. Oh, P.S., the media will probably be at your house like bright and early tomorrow morning.
Right.
Yeah, so then he's just sitting here and these guys are like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You're like,
oh,
they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, sucks to be you.
That's the thing about cops. I want to, like, that's an interesting aspect of true crime to me is, you know, they have to get on board and they have to play friendly with the suspect. But then as soon as they leave, it's like, boop, okay, that was a fun act. Now they're going to go to jail and I get to wipe my conscience clean. Like, that is what you would call a criminal if they weren't employed by the police. Like, if you can so easily manipulate someone into throwing their life down the tubes, a la going to jail, like, that's a superpower that can be used on both sides of the fence. So it's an interesting tactic.
Mm-hmm.
Ongoing now.
Well, we're gonna talk about that, but
It's gonna happen quick.
I understand that. He was thinking tomorrow. I was like, okay,
You
that'll give me
blew
enough
up
time.
everybody in LA. So there's a hornet's nest in LA.
Mhm.
It only takes one person to go and say, hey, I know what actually happened. I want 10 grand. And now they run to LA news.
Yeah.
It blows up without our control.
Yeah.
Since this was all over California and so many people, yeah, it could break in a second. So he's got a point.
Before we get there, but this.
Is there anything you can tell me next? I thought you said you were going to tell me something when I came back in. I'm like,
Give me a fucking hand
the
here,
person we
dude.
talked to down there is absolutely involved.
no, I know
Absolutely
that.
everything.
I know that.
So
I remember
that's
giving
what
you guys
I'm
that guy's number, so that I thought.
How would that feel? To say that out loud, I'm the guy who gave you that guy's number. Oh, God damn it, Keith.
So they contacted him prior and was like, hey, do you know this
Well, they had to
dude?
vet everybody in everybody's life.
actually be
So
patient.
he knew who he was.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really hard, but it also makes it easier for
Little
you.
kids do, though.
Well, the little kids aren't gonna ask you as much as the media will,
No, I
and the
understand.
family members, your own family members,
No, I
and you can look at
understand.
them with a straight face and say, look, they're not telling me yet.
But like, even Kel right now, I was like, well, shoot, you guys can give her a ride in the house. I don't even want her in my car right now.
I don't know what Kel said.
And that's what he told me.
I'm assuming we could arrange for her to get there if that's what has to happen.
Because I need to make some phone. If you're gonna release it that soon, I'd like to call him.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I can call you today. I'm gonna go from this to another meeting, and that means I'll leave to another meeting, and that means I leave to another meeting.
Bureaucracy.
then we'll be figuring stuff
It's
out.
5 o'clock. How
You're
many
saying you
meetings
want
does he
us to
have?
transport for her?
I
To get it back
think
to the
so.
house?
I don't think, I mean, you gotta give me a couple, I thought you guys were gonna call me back in here with her. So,
Well, she has to leave, so
oh,
she's free to leave if she wants.
so I think we'll talk and we'll probably.
Where'd she go? If they
probably won't talk
came
to me, we'll probably
together.
go out to the car and
She's
then I'll
taking
be
her
like,
out
I'm
in the
not going
lobby
anywhere.
or something.
If you guys want to type out in the car and come back up and tell us if you need assistance, let us
You
know.
have my
I
number.
appreciate that. I think I'm handling pretty good. I ain't punching walls or nothing.
We appreciate that.
I'm in shock.
And obviously, right? And so they get escorted out and everything. Oh my God. Like,
Imagine that conversation with them sitting in his car or whatever and like being like, what the fuck?
and this is where I get like a little murky on because, like, again, it says 2020 there. We're in 2022. So it took 2 years more before, like, he got a divorce served. She just got sentenced. Like I mentioned, she's going to start serving her sentence next month of November 2022. Like, I cannot imagine because, like, it's one thing to be the victim of a crime. Like, if you're someone in your family is murdered or maimed or whatever, and your family is destroyed by a horrible act of violence from an outsider, and you go, oh, I'm afraid of the world. But when that source comes from inside and does only superficial damage, but the implications are so dark, like, that's the family is still blown apart, but like everyone's alive to now wallow in the weird, awkward, like Christmas parties are never going to be the same, right?
Tony wants to know why didn't they arrest her?
I don't actually know because no, I do. Because they spent so much time building the case because again, it's so bizarre, right? Like obviously James broke the law. He did criminal mischief and all other shit. But and her charges were bizarre too because they needed to comb over all these esoteric ways to get her. And to sort of illustrate how ethereal the grasp of the law is on someone who essentially commits their own kidnapping is one of the two charges she got was mail fraud. Like and like a waste of police time. So she's doing 18 months in jail. She's got to pay $300,000 in restitutions and all this other yada yada yada. The divorce through Keith is going through, and God knows how fast that'll be whipped out. But and now here you are. Like you got to play out everything you wanted to, and
To not see your kids and go to jail.
right, because and again, like it would almost be better if she had been killed, right? Like let's say this situation reversed. Like I realize it's a Sophie's choice and it's impossible because there are people everywhere on the spectrum. But if you had to be related to someone who was a victim of a crime versus someone related to someone who is like the perpetrator of a crime, but like this, where there's no money, it's not violent.
There's nothing.
Yeah. You're just a huge public embarrassment.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like we it's sort of guilt-free. We get to feel outraged that public dollars, one of those, were burned up on calories were burned, money was burned, time and energy. And you go, somebody must pay for this. But who gave, who lit the fuse to set the nation on fire?
Right.
So I'll play devil's advocate and say there's a little bit of a gray area. If you want to duck out and pretend you're kidnapped, I guaranteed the charges would be non-existent if it didn't get popular.
Yeah. Oh,
Because-
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's another aspect about criminal justice I think is compelling because in this way, fame works against you. Like if you're a celebrity that commits a crime, they go, oh, bad celebrity. Now get out of here. But if the thing you do makes you infamous, like that can kick you up from getting essentially a slap on the wrist at best to be like, hey, James Reyes, don't pretend to kidnap anybody anymore. To like, oh, fuck, you got to pay back $300,000 and spend 18 months in a prison.
Yeah, I bet she did not think her husband would go to the news.
Well, no, it was impossible not to, right? Because like Sherri Papini is the thing that America cares about. When it comes to crime, scores of the homeless, scores of prostitutes, everybody who isn't a white blonde woman goes under the radar. But she just happened to be everything that America stops and pays attention to. The Gabby, what's her face case.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What
yeah.
makes her case more tragic than literally anybody else's? She was blonde and white.
Right.
So that's another thing. Since her blonde whiteness works against her, because if she was just a normal frumpy brown-haired, housewife, I guarantee it wouldn't have taken off like this.
That's true.
So, you got when you're dancing with the devil, the rules change by the second. So fucking stay off the floor is my recommendation. So, Athena, thanks for coming and doing this with me. Did you enjoy it? I hope.
I did. Yeah.
It's
crazy.
It's crazy and it's low impact. Like nothing about this gives you, like
nightmares.
Yeah, I know you're not gonna have like stress diarrhea later because of all the gory details of like, because there's one of a kid who like killed his mother and did unspeakable acts to her at her corpse, and those are the kind of things where you go, but like this is a nice light like.
A fun.
Yeah,
it's
it's like a fucking like in any other society or any other time period. Like imagine set this back 100 years, 200 years in the future in the past, where like a woman just disappears and everybody's like, huh?
Right.
Right.
Oh gosh, but yeah, this was fun, and I always like to touch heads with my true crime compadres. So. Now that we're wrapping it up, why don't you plug your stuff, your website, all the stuff, your wares? What do you sell and where can people get it?
So I make crystal trees all from clay. I make them all by hand. I carve them and everything. And I have a website, www.bewitchingspirit.com.
I can personally attest to her quality. Krista, if you can hand me that, I'll hold it up for the camera. But I'm, not only a client, but I'm also I'm not only the president. I'm not even the president. I just liked her stuff. So let me hold it up to the camera here. This is one of her trees, and I fucking love it. I love this tombstone, the gems, this beautiful citrine, and like the work, the craftsmanship on it up close is amazing.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm just doing those for the fall, just for something fun to do. But
I'm a
do
Halloween
custom
head.
stuff.
Yeah, I love this. All of your stuff that we've gotten from you is like, it's the reason why you buy handmade stuff. Like this took time, energy, and effort, and it shows, and it's cool to look at. And there's not another one out there like it.
Right, everything's different. I've got one that's on a tourmaline stone, and
oh yeah, the one over there. We've got a couple of your pieces around the house, and I display them proudly because they are so. They're not only like cool, they're also like fun to look at. All your stuff gives you that sense of like, oh,
like someone made this for me.
Yeah, it's like it. I can only liken it to the prize at the bottom of the cereal box. That joy of like, oh whoa, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I like making them. It's fun.
Yeah, I love it. So I'm gonna have to get one for. Well, eventually I'm gonna need it to find enough room to make like a nice graveyard and fill it full of your trees.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a graveyard. That would be fun to do.
Because I'm one of those Halloween weirdos. I'm one of those weirdos.
Yeah.
So yeah, bewitchingspirit.com. Check it out. And I always, whenever I get the chance or opportunity to remember, because I'm bad at social media, I push your stuff. But I'm grandpa when it comes to that shit.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah, I try and remember, and then I forget because I get busy doing something, or I see something else, and then it's like squirrel. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to look at that. And
yeah, I'm too busy trying to get my friends.
I went on there.
Trying to get my friends to stop talking to me about TikTok.
Right.
Oh boy. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for showing up and sticking through the broken stream that fell apart in the middle there. I'll see what's up. Maybe there's just no way around it, but I'll figure out something and maybe break it worse. So until next time, guys, thanks for showing up once again. Athena, thanks for sitting in the co-pilot seat.
Yeah, thank you. I like doing true crime stuff, especially when I don't know about it. I mean, there's so much out there that I'll never hear.
Oh, totally. Like, and you can go as deep or as shallow as you want. I'm gonna try and find something local to Arizona. I found there's a police station in like northern Arizona, like Bullhead City. It's got a lot of fun shit that comes out of it because they're a hillbilly town and hillbillies do zany shit.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
next one. Friday. That's the next one. Is the
Yeah,
Bullhead
that's one of them. But that department has some cool stuff. But yeah, the next one in 2 days' time, we're doing a guy, the interrogation of a guy called Michael Bailey, who went from Havasu to Bullhead City here in Arizona to show off a little something in a Walmart clothing department. But
Hey.
we'll get to that. Anyway, guys, thanks for showing up. And we'll see you next time on another episode of whatever this is. Bye.
For this, try to